to help better the state and the laws. And this right here is my friend Val. Take it away, girl.
Hey, I'm Valerie Hubbard, and I began working on changing the laws here in 2001. So I did med cannabis first, and then legalization was a part of my next second law. So right now, I feel like that we're in a situation where we've been coming up on 3 years the bill was passed, 2 years that it's been open for sale, and it's time for us to look at all the problems that people are having and on whatever level, and to be able to put voice to that, and also the things that are not cons, that are pros, that people are finding that it is working, this is working, or that's working. But this is just a place for us to come together, because our mission is strengthening the CRA under the CCD Senate Bill 2 that was passed, and making it a stronger bill for all of the Mexicans.
It's going to be hard to beat that one. My name is Nicole, and I'm very much into social causes, and I have a hard time saying this word, philanthropic. Work. So that's my passion, and I believe that going around the state and being able to meet different individuals that are in the industry that make us all one is very impactful in helping me find my voice, along with finding the industry's voice, and also knowing the impact that we can do as a community. So that's definitely been a drive for me, is just seeing everybody work together and discuss their opinions, whether they agree or they don't. This is a great place for there to be progress and for it to be documented, and we can present it to our legislators, and that way we can give them an accurate information about what it is that we truly think is necessary.
Because you guys are going to tell us.
I'm Karina Miramontes. I do business in the cannabis space, so it's important for me to be involved in these new laws that are being created. I feel like it's important for us to try to be involved as they're happening, because the legislators, they don't really have experience with cannabis. So it's up to us to speak up and say what our expectations are, and we do this to inspire you to speak up, so that we could, together stronger build this cannabis industry as we like it, because New Mexico has a really great opportunity to make a really neat industry.
With that being said, we do want to make sure to add that this is a safe space here. So although a lot of us are working for different entities and doing our own thing and stuff, what we're doing here is on our own time. We don't represent any company or any type of organization except our own here. We create a safe space so that people can share ideas. Bless you. Your pros, your cons, like these ladies were mentioning. And with that being said, are there any lobbyists here? No? Cool deal. Awesome. We do have to ask, just for, obvious reasons. We want to make sure that it's fair, even ground for everybody. And with that being said, let's get started.
Yes. So here I put a quick little thing of our background, that way we can let you guys know where we've been able to go gather data. And so far, we started last year in October, and from there we went to Las Cruces, Sunday Park, Carlsbad, Hobbs, Clovis, and then we did, this year we've done Albuquerque.
We did Albuquerque.
My bad.
Yeah.
Oh, they're all getting
so many.
It's not the mess
Silver City. They're starting to
Farmington.
Silver City, Farmington, and then Deming will be today. And then next week will be Sunland Park. And then after that will be Alamogordo. And then once the session is closer to ending, we'll be hitting up Santa Fe. So that's a little bit of data that we've been able to gather. And then a little bit about the format, as I said, we're going to be doing pros and cons. And so with that, we would just like to remind you all to please be respectful of each other's opinion and to also be mindful of the time of your comment. We do ask that it's about 3 minutes, and we do believe that this is also good preparation in case you do decide to go to the legislative session and make some public comments. That's usually the format of it. So, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, in order for us to get started, we're going to go ahead and give you guys a little bit of examples. We don't want to do too many because we want you to give us your pros, your cons. Because then more or less we can figure out if it's the same in other areas and all that. So, we're going to start with the pros first, right?
Should we introduce ourselves first?
Yeah, why not? Let's do that. Yeah, it's small enough for that. Why not? No. Yeah, no, actually, before, yeah. I'm so sorry.
The guy behind the camera?
Yeah, the guy right here. Yeah, who's that guy? Yeah. So my name's Chad Lozano. I've been an advocate in the state since about 2013, 2014-ish. And I've helped with the medical side and everything with the veterans. Helped push with the medical cannabis changes, and of course, help with that push with the CRA to get us where we are. This past year, me and Jeffrey actually went up and saved drive-thrus. That was like a hot topic, I guess, for them, and so he drove me up there. I went with him, and we met with another fellow from Alamogordo, and we finally swayed the legislature to allow the drive-thrus to continue. So that continues on to more advocacy stuff, and then these ladies were kind enough and been lovely enough to join me on this journey of the town halls and everything, and it's been so great, and they do such an amazing job that I can just sit here and shut up now. So you're going to probably hear not much from me, so thank you guys so much, and I appreciate all of you for coming.
Jeffrey Castillo, High Lonesome, Silver City, micro business producer, manufacturer, not retail. Just been around since the hemp days, and merged into this new market and just trying to survive.
I'm Yasmini Martinez, one of the owners, one of 3 owners of Deming Cannabis. We're a family-owned and operated dispensary. It's been open a couple of years, and yeah, kind of like you said, it's been a wild market, so we're just rewriting it out.
Yeah, awesome.
I'm Apio Martinez. I'm the CFO and co-owner of Deming Cannabis Company. I smoke a lot of weed and I give a lot of good recommendations.
Love that.
Wouldn't sell anything I wouldn't smoke myself.
Right.
If around, we work really hard in this market. We've been able to keep our #1 status here in Deming for, I think, almost 2 years now. It's been a challenge for us. I mean, as it is for everybody, with how the market has its up and down. But its downs right now is really killing everybody right now. I don't do much advocacy. I like to keep my mouth shut and kind of stay underground. It's always best for me. I feel like when you get political, everybody tries to put on a jersey on your back and, hey, you have to support this, you support that. I don't support anybody. I have to support myself and my family, and that's all I really could try to look out for when it comes to anything. If ran, we try to stay as compliant as we can. We've got no dirty laundry, so yeah, that's all I gotta say.
Awesome. Thank you.
And my name is Mayra Tarango. We're part of Stoner's Haven. I don't know much about the industry, to be honest with you. I came in as an investor. My friend is she's on the call actually, Judy, because I've been talking to her. She's the mastermind behind Stoner's Haven. But he's her right-hand man for some of the things. So he explains what's going on with the whole business and the industry to me, because it's all Chinese to be honest.
Are you enjoying learning about it?
Because we're barely starting, I just kind of get bits and pieces of it and stuff because it's barely going off the ground,
Right.
So I'm still not hands-on to things. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting. It just, the only thing I have used are from them here in town, just because I struggle with anxiety and sleeping. So I went and got that from them.
Awesome. Thank you for being here. Yeah, Judah, did you want to say something?
Introduce yourself.
Sure. Hi guys, so my name is Cindy Gallegos. I am the CEO and founder of Stoner's Haven. We currently run operations in Albuquerque, Rio Rancho, Santa Fe. We're getting ready to roll out operations in Taos as well, and down south. So we primarily run delivery. And so, we work a lot with our medical patients across the state that, we provide service to so that way they can get their product. I am born and raised there in Deming, but so this Stoner's Haven actually was conceptualized probably about 2 years ago when I started bringing the large team of us together to start providing resources and support for here in the state of New Mexico for the industry. In addition to that, we do have a podcast, the Greenhouse Podcast, that we actually film here in Albuquerque, and it's actually rolled out on the public access network. And so really what our company is all about is providing services and resources for the industry. As all of you all know, this is really the Wild Wild West. And so we're really a company that's here to plug the holes and help in any ways that we can. And so, it's very nice to meet you all. I'm sure I will be meeting everyone in person very soon. I'm very sorry that I couldn't be there in person. I hope you all enjoy the lovely goodies, and I know this team, I know how hard you guys work, so I just personally want to say thank you so much for coming down to the county, for representing, and, us in the industry. We really appreciate you, and thank you all for all you do.
Thank you.
And so just following Tracy kind of helped me kind of find you guys in the crowd. Pros.
Yeah, so we're going to start with the pros. Nicole's going to take charge of these ones. I know there's not a lot, but try your hardest to think of a few. I know we have a lot of cons, I'm sure. But to start, let's get some examples going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. So one of the pros that we've heard across different places we've gone to is that the industry has helped create jobs. So I'm sure we think that that's all great for us to be able to continue developing our economy, our local economy, and things like that, be a factor.
Sort of took flight. Spread its wings.
Heard on the data, what was it, like 200,000 jobs created with the new industry? So that's a plus. Yeah. I just heard that from somebody the other day. I gotta make sure that's fact.
One I like to
That sounds
always
right.
say is barrier of entry. We had the micro licenses, and that was $1,500, and so it was like a social equity type of license. And I don't know if you guys are aware of the micro license or if you have it, but it's a really special thing for the state. There's not any other state that has something like that.
I agree with Karina. In terms of the availability of licenses, I think it's great that everybody has an opportunity to involve themselves in the market. If around, the compliance season costs you a pretty penny, but at the end of the day, anybody can go in and get a license, depending on your felonies and things like that. But still, that's going to be reviewed by the state and see if you still get a license. So I like that. It is open to everybody. I know a lot of people are advocating for a limiting of licensing. I don't really see it. I think it should always be open to everybody. But in terms of enforcement, that's a whole different thing, But I would see that as a positive. Another net positive is just the availability of very high quality cannabis on the market. You don't have to be a medical patient now to get something that's going to be 3%, 4% terpenes. So you're able to really rather get whatever ailment you might have or affliction, you can find a strain that's going to work for you. I think the testing is amazing. I know some testing is kind of all over the place, but if you find yourself a really good vendor, you're gonna be happy that you can really get yourself some really good cannabis for your customers and your medical patients. So yeah.
Thank you for that.
Just to add to that, just the availability for everybody, for the public, just for their needs, medical needs, personal needs, whatever it is they need.
just having that availability for everyone and not having to go through a doctor or anything like prescription or anything like that. Just, someone that has issues, military, anything like that, they don't feel like they can go to a doctor or they're not being able to provide that prescription from a doctor because they feel they don't need it. Having that availability now for everyone in the public to just get that to treat or do anything if they might need or any hindrances that they might have, it is a great thing.
I do want to second on that, and I agree with that wholeheartedly. So I'm here on behalf of my brother. My brother just recently had open heart surgery, and he is fighting stage 5 kidney failure. And then I'm also here on behalf of my dad, who has prostate cancer and is now going to have a tumor removed in his lung. Now, they can't be here, obviously, for health reasons, but like you said, that availability, that was amazing. I mean, they're grown men, stubborn men, prideful men, and so they don't usually tell us, what's wrong, how they're feeling after dialysis or chemo or any of those sessions. They're very torn down, and it's just kind of hard to see them wither away. And so me being able to come to Tracy and kind of find stuff for them and take them things, I love that. I'm so very grateful for that. And I know that most of you guys are in the industry. I'm coming more of like as a patient basis, and so I thank you guys for all the hard work you do. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I just want, oh, sorry.
I just have to say, this is the most positive group.
Yeah.
Flowers.
That means it's a different world.
Cannabis industry is a double-edged sword.
Well, they don't have 70
So I didn't mean to
retailers to
answer
fight
it.
it.
Yes.
So for myself as a medical patient, before it became recreational, I either had to go to Las Cruces or to Silver City. And I was always kind of afraid to go to Las Cruces because I thought, well, what if they tell me something at the checkpoint, or what if, something like that happens? So my only option was Ultra Health in Silver City. So that was it. Whatever they had or whatever they didn't have, that was my only option, So now with the free market open, it's just like I can
Quality.
go get what I want or what I need for myself, and you can have those choices versus, having one choice.
I love that.
Yes, love that.
I think the crop is a good idea as well. I like how everything's tracked. Everything can kind of see what your competitions are doing, or like it gives a good incentive for customers to kind of look at different dispensaries and be like, oh, well, this place is does better revenue than this place. I wonder why. It kind of shows why these stores perform at a high level, why they don't perform at a certain level. So it kind of gives the customer the ability to kind of make that determination for themselves as well.
A lot of transparency.
Then you go and kind of be like, well, I'm going to go to 10 different shops today. I hope 1 out of the 10 is good. Rather, the top 10, so you can go to those top 10 and make that decision for yourself. And whether it be the atmosphere or the quality of the bud or just certain products that one store might carry over the other. So yeah, I think that's a really cool idea.
I need to educate the public to look at that. I don't know anybody's looking
One
at
thing
that.
is,
No.
Honestly?
not negative, and I'm not talking about negative, but it also goes with negative and positive, is just having that availability. And I think people are negative about it or tend to not side with cannabis because they have no knowledge of it, lack of knowledge. And I think a lot of the negativity stems from that, is just the lack of knowledge of what that brings to the table and what positives it can give for a lot of people.
I would think I would consider that more of a con, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll put that one in the cons. I got you, Nicole, on that one. Sorry, this is how we work as a team.
So for a pro, I would say home cultivation. That's a big plus for the community, and not to be forced to go and pay for their medicine. So yeah, no, that's the big one for us. We really support that when we do our plant sales to the public.
100%.
Yes, and I always want to remind you, even with the med card, there is the fact that you can get a higher,
Dosage.
yes, thank you. And you can also not pay taxes. So that's a savings too. We had to go to court for that. The New Mexico Supreme Court ruled on that. So.
I'm finding that there's a few places around the state that are still misled on that. Someone came to me yesterday, the day before, asking the question about that. She actually found the answer herself, and I was proud of her. To confirm that, yeah, there is no tax on medical. And actually, at another place we went to, they told me that there's tax on drinks, and that's actually incorrect too.
Yeah,
that is incorrect. Yeah. So they shouldn't be charging tax on drinks at all. Yeah. That's what we were told over there, and that's actually very incorrect. They should probably follow the law.
Is there any kind of work being done to up the units for medical patients, or?
You know what? I think it would be the rolling 90 days or whatever, shorter, significantly shorter. Hawaii does 4 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah, like 2 weeks or something. Yeah.
But that's not something I've heard of though.
Better approach, okay.
Would it be by condition, or is it like just if you have medical all across the board? Because, somebody that might have cancer, somebody that might have PTSD might need more units than another person. I'm not sure how you would be able to kind of gauge that, but, maybe it's just something better. Because we do have a lot of units. They can't wait 90 days.
Yeah.
Here in Deming on a fixed income, you
Yeah.
you can't just go and spend willy-nilly. So, I think it'd be a better idea, for the 90 days. But that goes into cons. Let's go back.
I got it.
It's
important to talk about because that is something that's very important, and it's actually something that we have brought up with the Department of Health through the years before we had legalization, adult use, and it was just something that was like it was stuck in like mud or glue or something to give them. But I think it's something that should definitely be approached to go through Department of Health hearings and
I'll say another
I
pro.
think to lessen the load and
Yeah.
be an easier fix regulation-wise, because this wouldn't be changing a law. This would be like a rules and regulations change, which they can do.
And-
If people show up and say, this has got to be done, I can't live on 2 months. I run out to pay high prices for adult use, so let's pull this together a little.
Is that something to be done in the rulemaking through the Department of Health, or?
Well, that's what I believe that
it's law.
Is it law?
It's law, so it's the rolling 90 days. I believe it's a law. The rolling 90 days is a law. I think it's the adequate supply is up to the DOH.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
adequate supply. Is it?
Yeah.
I didn't know who. So the DOH decided on the rolling.
I think the 90 days, and I can check while we're on this just to make sure. I believe the rolling 90 days is a law, not a rule, but I believe the amount could be a rule through
That's
the
right.
Yeah.
You could get a higher amount if you apply through your doctor and have your doctor sign a paper and have that taken, and the Department of Health can go off on it. But we're talking about seriously ill people here in many occasions,
Yeah.
and that's really not like the 15 or 20,000 that jumped off of the medical programs came on, because that was a way they could at least get something, because it really does. It's for your well-being. Cannabis it's helpful, and so there was a lot of people on it that didn't want to go back through that they were quite satisfied to have adult use, but we definitely look that up.
I'm doing that right now, actually, as we're
You
talking.
mentioned what was it?
Oh, just how easy it is to access a medical card. I mean, you can get an appointment. You can do it online now. You don't even. I know a lot of people, especially medical patients. They have social anxiety. All these different things.
Exactly.
And, they might be too afraid to even go to the doctor just to go and ask for a medical card. It's a little embarrassing, for some people. So I'm glad that there's that option now in New Mexico. People can go online, talk to the doctor on FaceTime or whatever after using, and be able to issue one if they have the necessary medical conditions or meet the criteria. So.
These are good Department of Health issues that we haven't really been focusing on too much during this.
No, but this is good.
This is very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is
Very good.
This has been probably, again, the most positive group, but the most positive pros that we've had, and our list is never this long.
Yeah,
It's a half a page usually. So this is great.
yeah. No, I totally.
And it is a pro, I think, and one of the only states that is really continuing to nurture the medical program.
Mhm.
The medical program in California just washed into, I think every other state, there's no real medical program anymore. They've charged everyone recreational prices. This is the only state that has stayed true to have those medical pricing.
How do you maintain that?
Keep reminding them that they were the poorest state in the United States.
Well, and I'm
And people
Probably
cannot
unhealthy
afford
there.
it.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah, and as a bud tender, I will tell you guys, when I have a New Mexico resident hand me an ID, I ask them, "Where's your med card?" Every time, and they're like, "I'm sorry, what? I didn't know I could get one." 90% of the time, it's I didn't know I could get one. Oh, you don't know? Here, let me write this for you.
So I have it right here. I don't want to mean to
Yes,
interrupt.
no, no.
So here's adequate supply as defined in the Lynn and Eric Compassionate Use Act, and this is from the 2018-19 update. So adequate supply means an amount of cannabis in any form approved by the department possessed by a qualified patient or collectively possessed by a qualified patient and the qualified patient's primary caregiver. I forgot we have caregivers. That is determined by rule of the department to be no more than reasonably necessary to ensure the uninterrupted availability. So there's one thing that we can use right there. So a lot of this availability is being interrupted.
Yeah.
So that this isn't following the law as is. So that's one thing that we can use as an argument of cannabis for a period of 3 months that is derived solely from an interstate source. So the 90 days is in the law, and then the adequate supply amount is within rule. So that's where it was. So yeah, we would have to essentially have them either do two things. Change it so they can have an uninterrupted amount of supply like it says in the law, or have them change this to say instead of 3 months, 1 month or 2 weeks, whatever. I just remembered right now Hawaii is actually 2 weeks. They get 4 ounces every rolling 2 weeks, and so it rolls over to the next one. So I think that's those are kind of the two options. I'm not too sure how receptive the DOH would be, because for some reason the DOH became the ones in charge of that and not the CCD still. They even got sued, and then they said we're interpreting the law for the CCD. Yeah, it's weird.
For adult use, though, CCD.
Yeah, but for DOH, for adequate supply, the CCD that does not control, it's the DOH. So we would have to go and petition the DOH to change this rule in particular. So that could be a choice, because DOH is pretty receptive these days, is my understanding, right?
Yes, and DOH still holds hearings.
Okay.
We just don't go to them on a regular.
True, yeah.
They still have an advisory board of doctors that make decisions,
Yeah.
add more conditions.
Yeah.
So it's still a functioning. I mean, so it dropped to 60,000 or something.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think that's a robust program, considering what has happened. I mean, we would say we had 130,000. I'm saying we dropped to 80,000 or something. It was still a robust program. What do you mean? It's like, I expected all of those, like, other folks to fly.
Yeah.
But the fact that we're doing, but I think that we should do a two-pronged approach and start dealing with them at hearings and the advisory board as far as what can be done from the DOH, because that's the easiest.
Yeah, I agree.
One for them, for rules and regs. We could then also see about running a one-page law or two, so about adequate supply.
Yeah, because I think we need to revisit this adequate supply thing too in general.
These are things that, this is a part of revisiting these laws, because they are changeable, because they're written for the folks in New Mexico, and we can work to change them, but if you don't know how to do that, or don't realize there's people that are wanting to do that, then it's kind of like, why is this going on? But, I think that a two-pronged approach to both of those is a good measure, because I think that's very important. The adequate supply has always been an issue.
It has, and it's for some reason when we were medical, they kind of overlooked it and kind of just brushed us off, like, you guys just want more pot. But, there's certain people that actually need, quote-unquote, more pot. They just,
For 8 years, I mean, we did have an administration that ran on repealing the medical cannabis bill, the year after we passed. Oh, God. So in 2008, we had a change of administrations, and that is a change then of the Department of Health. All the departments, it's just like what we see going on now with the changes of administrations federally. And we had somebody that was against us, and which she was able to put in folks that were against it too, so that was to hold up the program. So it was a long 8 years. I can only tell you that. And trying to keep it alive and keep it from being sucked out from underneath us, pulled out because. And then we went back and got a governor that supported it. So, it's like, thank God. But I think this is a good time. I think it's a good time, too, for having 2 years left to sort of deal with bringing the DOH up to a better par.
And they just added a female orgasmic disorder, so I think they're a lot more receptive to adding a lot more things, too.
That just didn't come to my mind.
You thought.
I did know that female orgasmic disorder had been added.
I don't know. It's a tragic condition.
Let's hook you up with some sex pot.
That's not a pro, but are there any others?
I'll go with possession amounts. You can carry up to 2 ounces now as a recreational. I think as a medical patient, it's 8 ounces and it's unlimited at home. You can have as much pot as you want at home. I think that's about it in terms of possession, huh?
I think that's very important too.
I think it was, in possession, I think it was only 2 ounces. With
16 grams of wax.
Oh, yeah, 16 grams of wax and 800 milligrams.
Yeah.
But unlimited at home. You could go and take it home and
keep
going.
You could go back and buy every day.
That's a perk.
Stash the pantry.
Or if you have a big harvest, you're not going to get in trouble.
Yeah, and that was actually something that came from the medical side because they used to limit us on how much we could keep from a harvest. So, we were limited at, your 8 ounces or whatever. I think it was 6 at the time. And then eventually they said, okay, well, we shouldn't punish people for being good at growing. And that's literally what they said in the legislature when they changed it. We're kind of punishing people for being good at this. So, and it was a Republican senator that said that, which blew my mind. He's like, well, I don't know why we're punishing people for being good at growing. So they luckily changed it and moved on, crossed over into the CRA, which I'm glad. And it makes sense. There's no point in telling a grower, well, you can only keep a quarter of that. What I got to do with the rest? That kind of sucks.
Yeah, that was pretty stupid.
It was.
But that was part of what they say 8 years of blindness of trying to keep a medical program that we believed in on its feet to move forward and not be sucked out from underneath us. Literally, that's what it was. It was never not. You had to never quit fighting. First to get it passed, and then to keep it passed, and build a program to it.
Without medical, we wouldn't be here today.
Yeah.
With all of Val's hard work that she put in for years. I'll mention it. She's been to federal prison. She's my hero.
She's all our hero.
That's the most impressive.
I wish I could go to federal prison.
She's an educated fellow.
The OG. She's
the OG.
Instagram on.
Yeah.
She wants to be on the board for a club.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me tell you, everybody's told us that everywhere we go. Let me tell you. Val. You're on the board, look.
Oh my God.
No.
Oh, that's great.
Awesome. So.
Would be like being comfortable. It's comfortability for owners, for people who use at home, for just people who just use it in general. Because before people were not comfortable, whether they were using it for bad or for good, whatever, they weren't comfortable because it was illegal. And now that it's legal, it's comfortable. I would have been one of those who didn't feel comfortable walking in with just somebody, let's say he used it. I wouldn't be comfortable medically, however, just because it was this stigma, like you said. And then when we were talking about my anxiety, he was saying like, well, you need to get on something because it's like getting worse. And like, what do we do? How can I help you? I'm like, I'm not going to get on medication. And he said, well, then let's go somewhere. So that's where we ended up over here. And it helped. And I don't use it all the time, but it works and it helps, you know.
It's available.
And I feel comfortable. I don't feel the stigma of having to say like, oh no, I don't do that, and I really do. You know?
Or go sneak off.
Yeah.
To go get it
It's a
somewhere.
cultural thing. We have a joke, a running joke when it comes to things like this particular concept. It's, you know, you go to your Mexican house or whatever, your uncles are doing coke, getting drunk as fuck, but you go out and smoke a joint, you're the worst. You
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, so it's great, you know, like you're saying, we're breaking the stigma to it, but it's just the education, and I'm pretty sure it's, you know, when we first opened, I did 2 months of bud tending, and I'm still highest ATP in our dispensary and everything, but it's getting done in science. Like, for you, like, immediately, delimiting. You need the anti-anxiety, you know, you need that calmness, a little bit of mercy just to relax your body with the same thing. You know, depending if you're feeling pain or not, you know, to be karaoke with it, or just a little bit of linalool. You know, it's getting, you have to get down to the science for people to really trust it. And, you know, once your customers trust you, it's over. It's over. They're going to come back every single time, but it's because they're looking for a service. They're looking for something to help their whatever affliction that they're having. And, you know, if you can find something for them and at the same time recommend something else that's similar, you know, you're giving them the option. The thing I wanted to put up there was going to be, you know, the purchasing limits. I know we talked about, you know, what you can possess, but you can go and buy whatever you want to go buy, go home and go buy more. You know? It's not, hey, you go to one dispensary, your limit's up, you have to come back tomorrow. No, go home and it's a per purchase thing rather than a track per day thing, you know? I really like that the state has the same thing. Like, I mean, we have a policy, if you're going to come into our store, we're going to check you in, we're going to check your ID. But, you know, some people are not comfortable with that. You can just show their ID and you don't have to put them directly into BioTrack system. You just put them down as a retail customer if that's why they're more comfortable purchasing. So I like that, you know, the anonymity. And,
Yes.
yeah, there we go.
There you go. You got it.
Like I told you, I smoke a lot of weed.
I just kind of want to piggyback on, and it may or not be a pro, but like understanding the stigma, like really understanding it, really understanding that the Hispanic culture was targeted at the turn of the century. And so these last two generations, the boomers and their parents, are very, very afraid of cannabis. Very, very afraid. And so we have a big job ahead of us. And so understanding, it's like 3 generations deep. And so, like, breaking the stigma is so very important, but understanding culturally where it comes from, I think, is very important too.
It's funny, like how he says with our families that we have that. My dad had open heart surgery as well, and he started feeling, he explained it as anxiety. I'm not sure what it was. And I said, here. I was able to talk to my dad about weed and gummies and whatever, you know, and to tell him, hey, like, we're investing and we're, like, partners in a weed company. And it was just so, it's so funny because I would never think that.
We call it cannabis.
There is the negative on that, right? The
Yeah,
lack of knowledge, the lack of information.
Yeah.
Just having that and being able to provide that, and now he loves the gummies.
Yeah,
He loves it
yeah.
because it helps him sleep, it relaxes him, like, he feels great. Whereas opposed to before, there would have been no.
Well, he had a stroke prior to the open heart surgery, and so he has partial movement to his right side, and that nerve gives him a lot of, it's a hassle, and so it gives him pain, and I think from the same pain, it gives him anxiety. So I could kill 2 birds with 1 stone with these gummies. Here you go, Dad.
And it's exhausting being in pain. It's exhausting on the body to be in pain.
Yeah. I think this is a kind of a beautiful thing that we are able to connect with generational understanding the stigma that comes with it. And that's something that I really enjoyed down in the southern portions of the state, the meetings that we have, because I think we face some issues that maybe the northern part of the state doesn't necessarily feel, whether it's at home or whether it's actually in the business, for example, with the seizures going on at the checkpoints. Those are things like that our people are experiencing, not so much in the northern part of the state where they can worry about other stuff like fun events at consumption lounges and this and that. We're over here just trying to like get it from point A to point B and hope our aunts and grandmas don't, I hope our aunts and grandmas don't come in and like judge us for what we do for work. So I have enjoyed being able to relate in that sense, and I think it's beautiful that we as Hispanics are here because that got taken away from us in the first place. So
yes, especially, and I don't know if you guys know this, but Prohibition started in El Paso, where we're from. So it's kind of crazy. For at least us, it's kind of like a full circle moment because I also come from a family where it's kind of hard, marijuana, you know, like, and when I first got offered to get into the industry, I was really stuck between a rock and a hard place because I'm going to be judged, you know. Do I do it? But then it was like my passion within me burns stronger than what everybody else thought. So I think it is, I have to agree, a beautiful thing that we're here and we're expressing our gratitude towards a plant, you know, that just can change people's lives and just give better quality of life overall. And we have people that prove it every day. You know?
Yeah, the stories you guys shared, my grandma, she was from Mexico. She also had 2 strokes and dialysis when she was going through that. And if I could have only introduced her to cannabis, you know, so hearing that you've been able to help has been awesome, and that plant has been able to help, so that's great.
My grandmother, she was probably one of the ones that was real positive about it. She didn't really smoke it, but she had real bad arthritis. So I, as a kid, or younger, used to sell not only weed, but a lot of other.
Right.
It's not a secret. It's not everybody that knows me knows my history. But I did sell a lot of weed. And my grandmother would keep a lot of it, and she'd keep a cabinet full of alcohol with the weed in them, and she'd rub it on her hands. And she never suffered from arthritis, and it was bad. It was bad. She played the harp and the piano and everything. So it was difficult sometimes for her to move her fingers and things like that. But when she started doing that, it was great. So she'd grow in her house, and I'd give her seeds and weed and whatever. But yeah, she was great. She was probably one of my more positive influences in the family. Everybody else, I know, stop doing it.
And now there's bath salts with lavender in them, you know?
But yeah, it is positive. It's always great to have someone that does back you on that and is positive. And you know, now full circle, being able to do it legally now, it is great.
You know, and to add to that, you know, that's a lot of the reason why we're doing what we're doing. You know, we want to better our industry. We have all eyes on us right now, I really do feel like, because we're 2 years in, right? And other states have been in it for longer, and they feel like they have it together. But here soon, it's up to us to trailblaze that and make a difference. And, you know, right now, a lot of our laws are based out of alcohol laws, you know, and we know together, collectively, that alcohol and cannabis are complete opposites. They need to be separated. So that's why we have these meetings, so that we can present all of this to our legislative and let them know, look, the people, they come to this, and this is what they've told us. Let's make those changes. But with that being said, I think we need to wrap the pros up, unless you guys have some more, because I know the cons.
This honestly has been the longest list.
This literally has been the longest list we've had. I can't help it.
Yeah. Well, no. Light at the end of the tunnel.
It's like
Yeah, Carlsbad is pretty small. But
Click through four,
we're definitely up and low on pros. I go, well, did you ever think about this one?
But it's nice that we don't have to get the ball rolling all the time. You know,
Yeah.
it's nice when people come with like a plan and they're on the table.
Well, and a lot of states are suffering. I mean,
Yeah.
California is suffering.
Oh, yeah.
Oregon, I think, is challenging. How are they doing? What's their industry like?
At the beginning,
Oklahoma, definitely.
They're all down here, so
In
they
Yeah.
must be
California,
doing
like
bad over
everything
there.
else, California, like everything else, they commercialized it,
All that money's
and
going.
it's just they made it more about the money than anything else. And obviously, I mean, truly, everybody's in it to make some money, right? But they've taken it to a whole other level to where it just has been made not very affordable. They put the taxation on a lot of the businesses and everything at very high rates. So I think that's what's caused a whole lot of issues in the whole California industry.
I think the testing got better after too. And that changed a lot of that really high THC stuff.
But the taxing is something good to talk about in cons, right? That's something we're trying to fight for a tax cap. How do you guys feel about?
The 6% cannabis excise tax is what you're talking about?
Oh,
It's at 12 right now.
Right.
And it's gonna go up every
gonna
year.
go up.
In the law.
How does that even
Yeah.
fucking make, I'm sorry, how does that make sense?
well, because
That's why we need to change it.
I can tell you what a long, hard fight it was. Where it was. But
That just goes back to like I was saying,
incrementally
how that's
in
done.
the
It
law.
just increased and increased and increased. It's made it more about that state of them making money as opposed to just. Well, here we pay the 12%, and then we pay the 8% GRT. That's
Right.
20%. That's a quarter.
Right.
That's already a quarter of the entire business, and then I have to pay Fed, which is about 9% every month. So that's 3/4. It's a lot. It's a lot.
it's really big.
Especially at the federal level, they don't want to approve it, but they do want their piece of the pie. Yeah, 100%. And if you don't come in and pay it, well, Uncle Sam's going to make sure you pay it. Exactly. So I think there's definitely going to be a massive room on that. They can continue to increase like that.
Just completely
What,
bring it down.
what we need to do is just like have it at a reasonable level like now, because our whole point is, as you know, it's to incrementally increase for the next 4
5 or
years.
6 years.
Well, yeah, until it reaches an amount of
20.
20.
I think
It's 18%. It's like 26%, like
That's right.
total.
And
Yeah.
it's supposed to max
Total
at
almost
18,
30%.
and you're saying you're paying 12 right now. So that's what I'm talking about. We've got to figure that out.
Yeah, I mean, it only leaves room for corporations, right? Like there's
And
just
also
no way.
back to the traditional market once again too. I mean, who's going to pay these kinds of prices because you get taxes out of the game?
we can get right into the weeds. I mean, what KRQ did that report, and then ended up finding only 10% of all cannabis businesses are paying taxes right now, or paying CE and GRT. So, we're letting all these licenses, all these people into the market without paying taxes. So, like let's say we've got $1 billion worth of revenue, we're only collecting what, $100 million? Where's the other 800 million? It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
There's no enforcement. The CCD
Well, there is the renewal of license.
Oh, now
you have to report. So we're going to see those bad ones drop, and there's only going to be the compliant ones.
But that was a super easy thing they could have done a year ago, Jeff.
Right.
Just cut the fat. Now there's all this weed on the market. There's all this flooding from producers or people that just shouldn't be in the market.
Right.
It baffles me that if I don't go ahead and pay something, I'm going to get hell raised on me. But the CCD isn't getting with the taxation revenue to beat them out. It isn't that hard. Oh well, let's look over your last quarter. Or you haven't paid your last quarter. What's going on? Like at the end of the day, we're dealing in pharmaceuticals, and we need people who are actually responsible to be dishing this stuff out or dealing with it. And it just seems like the legislators aren't really, I know in this next month they're supposed to talk about enforcement, but there's no enforcement. So people are doing whatever the hell they like, You see the videos of people selling out of U-Haul trucks, and they just have their CCD license right on that U-Haul truck. If we're at, where's the compliancy? But when there's no enforcement, people it's a wild west. People are shooting guns in the streets. It's not right. It's not right.
Do you want to answer some of that, or you want me to?
Oh, I was practicing keeping my mouth shut.
But you can't. You're allowed to talk.
Yeah, I get it. The enforcement part is something that we've been very lacking on here in the industry for sure, and that's something that is most likely going to change. I don't know if you guys know that they did propose this standing up of like pretty much the cannabis police. Now, how do you guys feel about that? Now, that to me that's a slippery slope. You start adding more police into it, and you start having this you have this gap of enforcement there. Like, okay, this guy has to do this and this, and you have to skip around to these other people and like, well, we don't want to burden the regular police with this because they're dealing with this already. But then they're just pulling people over, and you're like, then you have this thing in your mind that like, oh well, they're not doing much, and then that's where they get this idea, well, we need this police force. So how do you guys feel about the police force in general being like the cannabis police?
Like the local PD.
Well, how would you guys want it enforced, I guess is what I'm asking.
It has to be a board of people first to make decisions on who are we going to go after, who's not in compliance, and it's the law's already written.
Yeah.
If you don't have your security system, you can't get me 30 days of your camera system. If you're knowingly spraying pesticides on things. I mean, a lot of things can be just easily fixed. If the state would get with BioTrack, and all of a sudden this room has 120 plants, or you're telling me 10 plants produced 100 pounds? Like, it's simple things that they can use BioTrack and different algorithms to kind of figure out who's gaming the system, who's gaming BioTrack, because the CCD comes in and they won't even check your BioTrack. They'll come in and just make sure you have all your chain of custody and the things that they require, but they're not checking what you destroyed. The things that you voided. They're not checking these things that lead to malice or malpractice, and we need that type of enforcement. Like I'm playing by all the rules. Anybody can come into my shop and lick off the floor. We keep it clean and spick and span,
Yeah.
and obviously these other places just don't abide by that same thing, and then there's no enforcement. So it just kind of leaves me like, well, what am I doing? Like I'm trying to play by the rules, but these people are doing whatever they want and getting away with it.
Yeah.
But do you think that enforcement should be mandated by police, like law enforcement
Or a
themselves?
separate
Or a
police
separate
force.
Or a separate entity.
Under the CCD.
Under the CCD or
As long as things can be enforced,
Yes.
that's all I'm asking for. I'm not asking for some Gestapo police to come in and kick people's doors in. I'm just asking for people to follow the law and to be mindful of the law, that they can't just do whatever they want. And I think that's where the CCD and the state of Mexico are kind of messed up, is they didn't do it, so now everybody feels like they can do whatever they want, and now it's created chaos. I mean, Jeff's been there with me. We've been through some stuff that's like, how is this even going on? How is this even being allowed? And then nobody can help you. Nobody can help you, and you're just there left penniless now because you put all your money into this business, and now you're like, who was supposed to be protecting me? Luckily here in Deming, we know everybody here. We know people here that can get things done. But like when smaller businesses are trying to expand other places, it's all about your city, who's in your city government, who you know, and who's supposed to come in.
Right.
I had city council members coming into my shop saying they're going to do stuff about or enforce it, but they can't do anything either. So it just leaves everybody feeling hopeless. It leaves people in the community displaced because now they're kind of scared to go around that part of town or whatever. So I would just like to see something cohesive, whether it be, they get training from one of the lieutenants in one of the municipals, and they have they're the designated cannabis inspector or enforcer, or however you want to put it, as long as they're trained properly. I mean, if the CCD wants to hire me, and I'm not cheap, but I can get something done, and make sure these people are being inspected the proper way, so people are protected.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I can go ahead and manifest something from Jeff, and then tell Jeff, hey Jeff, just say you're giving me like 20, 30 pounds, and he doesn't give it to me, and I just go to get it from Cali or whatever. Nobody's checking on that, like there's a lot of holes, there's a lot of loopholes. And they need to figure it out. BioTrack the New Mexico State Taxation and Revenue and the CCD. They need to be in unison. It has to be a trio. They have to work together to really set a standard for how things are going to be and hold people accountable. That's all I'm asking.
And right now,
I'm accountable all the time. I have to pay my taxes.
Exactly.
And they're proposing pretty much a force on their own. They actually proposed a budget. They asked for, I forget, millions of dollars, but pretty much the new agent, I think it's 6 of them or 10 of them. 10 new of them, and I think they're all going to get a 6-figure check.
I don't think we've had that broken down.
Fantastic.
Yeah, huh?
I don't think we've had that actually.
We haven't, but as of right now,
It just looks that
yeah,
way.
it just looks like they're getting
Yeah,
about a
it's
6-figure.
part of
We
the
don't know
budget.
if the
That's
hiring.
part of the cars that could be done. So.
Well, they already did a separate one for the cars and everything like that. So we don't know if it's including with training or if it's including with anything else. We just know that it was a budget amount, and as the way it breaks down right now, they're getting about a 6-figure check, if that is the case.
From the state of New Mexico?
For the state of New Mexico.
Well, I'm a retired person that worked for the state of New Mexico, and there's nobody that makes that kind of
Yeah,
money.
and so like that's why I'm like I really hope they break it down soon.
Yeah.
So if they break it down soon, that makes sense. But yeah, as of right now, we don't know.
Well,
Yeah.
we can make it even more easier. Okay, I know there's bigger populations like Doña Ana or Bernalillo or I'm not sure what Santa Fe is called or whatever. But if we can just get a head inspector for each county, and then they do their rounds, making sure people are compliant every 6 months or every year or however they want to make it. But there has to be accountability. When there's no accountability, things become unsafe. And
Yes.
we're talking about pharmaceuticals here. At the end of the day, we have to have responsible people selling these things to the public. Other than that, it just becomes super unsafe, and people are, smoking carts are from wherever land, or you know what I mean. I'm just it becomes like we were seeing people like having seizures on the streets. Like people were this place was just giving out free consumption and letting people take dabs and with no license, saying they're just a hemp shop.
Oh,
the one I was telling you about.
Yeah.
And they're a big sign that says cannabis company.
Dispensary.
A dispensary. So it's just like, people like there's minors in there, there's toddlers in there. I mean, I was giving all these videos and everything to the state police, the city police. Nothing happened.
Yeah.
And it's just like, well, why am I going to deal with a bunch of psychopaths and all this chaos for no reason? I'm just trying to sell some weed.
Yeah.
Some good medicinal weed to people. But that's what I'll say. I just need accountability. That's all I'm asking from the state is accountability for everybody, and these things to be regulatory. If I'm having to pay all this money, I would want to see some really good money put into enforcement.
Yes.
There's all this money that's missing. If I'm missing money, I'm going to jail. Like it's not a really broad concept. It's fairly simple. I think if those 3 institutions get together, we can have something really strong and something really special. But there has to be some kind of organization. Like I'm saying, if the state wants to hire me, I'm all game for it.
There was something that we had talked about too, and would be interested to hear how you guys feel about it. I think one of the suggestions was an inspection before you even open.
Well, that's the thing right now, and where we've gotten it way out of whack is that licenses are being purchased without inspection. And there must be inspection before you hand over that license. So you even know where the property is, there any property, whatever. There's another side of it too that I know that some people are but anyway, the fact is that there's a lot of licenses that have been bought up in this state that have never opened. And there are several reasons that could be happening is because they're waiting for it to really go so they can make some dough, or they are, it doesn't bother me that they do, but I want all of those places, no matter what they are, to be made inactive. And because it messes up the count too if we have 600 dispensaries and there's 1,200 licenses. Well, that confuses legislators.
Yeah.
That's a confusing smokescreen out there that needs to be. And if Joe Smith comes back and wants to reactivate a license that he has, then he could pay a small fee and reactivate a license. But then that place needs to be inspected. where it's gotten out of hand. And you have to understand too, very briefly, is when we passed the law, we had to pass also an amount of money to open the CCD and make a whole new institution at the same time that we were getting that law over the hump. So we were getting a whole lot of money with it because it was going to open a whole new branch of government. So that's only been we're coming up on less than a year, 2 years or something. I mean, it's really just been such a short time. So that's why there's so many things that are in flux. I mean, we just finally got one passed after 21 years. So, but then there's fixing to do. I mean, because it couldn't be a perfect bill. We just had to get it as best that we could with as much disengagement as folks wanted.
No, I totally understand that, and I talked to the city planner about a license or issue, and he's like, it's like the state is trying to like say, oh, it's your fault or it's their fault in terms of when the city approves of it. Now the CCD, I forgot how he explained it to me. Like, well, you approved the license, you approved them coming in, after you get zoned and everything. Well, you're the one who approved them. So it seems like it's like, well, it's on your insurance. No, it's on your insurance if something bad happens. So that's what it kind of looks like to me. That they're trying to make the CCD is trying to make the city responsible for these things. But like at the end of the day, if nothing's being enforced, like what does that matter anyway?
Well, that's back to having more money. Asking for more money each year to bring into the CCD from the fiscal, from the budget. And so I think if we get this, whatever it is, a small handgun or something, but I have to put myself into, I mean, I don't want inspectors to be like knocking down my friend's door over here. I don't want anything weird going on. But as long as there's like been these illegal grows in the state that have had like 30 and 40 greenhouses, and it takes the CCD, once it finally gets found out, and they're importing children from China to work there, I'm making that up, but it's kind of like that. Once that gets going, it takes the CCD forever once they pull their license and shut them down properly and all of this stuff, because they didn't have enough teeth. So that's what we're hoping with this, because you got to think, if you're just a state worker going out in a state car and you're pulling up on 30 greenhouses, and there looks like a lot of dogs running around in the name of Pitbull and Dobie. So it's like, it's a little scary. It can get a little scary because of some of the stuff that's already happening in this state that some of us know about, some of it that's going on that we don't know about. And then there's the open air markets, and there's a lot of weed that is really weed that's for a traditional market and for inspectors. Inspectors should be able to close down the open air markets. That causes a fluctuation of a product. Like if there's open air markets underselling you, it's just the same as having an open air traditional market. It's like you want to make your living and they're not paying taxes. They don't have anything that they're doing for this, so they need to be shut down. I'm trying not to like go, oh, but it was so wonderful when they were there. But it's that all of that stuff's got to be shut down. But we're just now getting a handle on that's what we're doing.
Yeah. So the money that's collected, it's monthly, and then where that money just goes back to the state, and then the state issues that back to the CCD in whatever physical budget.
In a budget. Yes.
Okay. It explains the lack of accountability, because if I go to my boss and I'm $800 million short or $500 million short, they're gonna be like, well, I'm not giving you any more money to go around and mess all this up.
Right.
So if like I'm saying, if the CCD just does a better job of holding people accountable, holding the money accountable so that they can go ahead and come back and now spend that money on enforcement and all the needs that they need. Because I mean, at the end of the day, they're the ones putting in all the legwork to, do all these things. And if they're not being properly funded or they're waiting on a budget, if they're contributing a grandiose amount of money to the state market, why shouldn't they get anything that they need to enforce these things?
I totally agree,
Yeah.
and it
But
took me a
thank you
while
for your
to come
explanation.
around.
It helped me
Yeah,
grasp a better
to
concept
come
of
around
it.
to the fact that cops were becoming But when I look at it as the way it's meant to be with the CCD, this will be totally enclosed in the CCD. They're not going to be a part of other markets or police forces or state troopers. They will be strictly under the CCD so that when they do have a call to go out to some weird place up in the mountains or out in the desert, they don't feel so vulnerable, and they have some teeth finally to shut them down, be able to. And people go, well, what would they do with the product that they're holding for? Where would that happen and stuff? And to me, that's like, well, take the pictures. Make sure 5 people's cameras took the same pictures as you used. No, and then you have like instructions in your growers' books and your things about how to destroy cannabis on property. It's not that big of a deal how to do that. And so when people bring that up to me, it's like, I think, I don't know, are we talking about the same kind of destruction?
Well, I don't know. I've had an idea that I've talked to a couple of colleagues that I know in Albuquerque. If we find all this product or your license gets revoked and we need to destroy this, why don't we just get it retested and then offer it back to dispensaries or have whatever downtrodden to medical patients or something, so this weed can be reintroduced into the market, obviously for discounted prices, maybe only exclusive for medical. So, we don't spend all day, destroying it, so we can actually make some money off of it too. That's just a business mind kind of going out.
Idea. I think
we don't need it.
We
don't need no more bales.
Yeah, exactly. I think that would be a harder push.
Yeah, that makes sense.
To
just an idea.
We just take little steps at a time to get through this. Okay.
Good conversations.
Yeah, no, it was a great
those
talk.
are great
Sounds
conversations.
super fun.
No, we love that.
That's
We
what we
love
need.
that.
We don't need people to beat around the bush with this. We need everyone to be really good, right?
And just because we actively run it all, we're actively in this business 24/7. We're constantly, we still work our dispensary. So it's like, these are the things that we see every day. A thing I wanted to put on the cons, I would like to see topicals, even higher THC topicals available for rec people. I mean, I know you can't get that high off of eating lotion, right? I think, like 100 milligrams isn't enough for any type of like pain that you're having in your joints and things like that. I know I've seen some 3,000 milligrams CBD, but I'd like it to go all the way up to 1,000 THC for topicals, so people can get that actual relief without having to get their medical card. I believe like edibles and let's say higher THC concentrates or anything. Obviously, medical patients need for pain, but like just your average everyday person, I think would really benefit from higher dosing of topicals. Bombs.
And salves.
Yeah, nothing you can, just things you can apply to your skin. I'd like to see that somehow reformed, where, regular retail people can get, very high quality and high dosage topicals.
Something that I don't notice that is out in the market that much is transdermals.
Yeah.
That is definitely my friend.
I'm sorry, what'd you say? I heard transgerbals.
Transdermals.
Okay. No, yeah. I legitimately have a hearing problem. I'm not lying, so I'm sorry if I had to.
But yeah, just essentially transdermals because like sometimes, for example, a cancer patient, stomach cancer patient, they can't take oil because they can only take a limited amount of water, so they won't be able to fully wash down the way through the mouth, right? The topical can only do so much, so that's the thing I would really like to see more in the market is transdermal. And also,
Is
If you
that
guys
this?
would like some cookies and lemonade,
Oh, yes.
please feel free to go up and grab some.
Are we talking
Straight to my
here
thighs.
about like this
Patches.
top
The patches.
Transdermal
Thank
patches.
you. Okay, I lost it there for a minute.
But I think the meaning of transdermal is it goes
Gerbil.
I'm so sorry.
It goes deeper into the skin. If it's a transdermal salve,
Yeah.
it has the ability to go deeper than a topic.
Exactly, and
But
also
the patches.
tinctures, one can always, I think tinctures are an incredible healing part of it. But
Is there a difference between tinctures and drops? Because I know tinctures, to be considered a tincture, it has to have alcohol in it or derived, no?
No, vegetable
it could-
glycerin.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
But that's a great one.
And
Topicals.
I have a friend who makes suppositories too for patients can't eat anymore,
Mhm.
but they need relief. So, and this particular group are the oldest infuser extractors in the state, I believe. But they have a really wide range of where they can go, and also that's great.
I think you're talking about herbal edibles.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's correct.
Yeah, we know them personally as well. We have some of their suppositories in store.
Okay, okay.
And they're the only people that I
cool.
know that do that, so. I kinda
Yeah.
Do they
respect
only go up to 100 per rep?
it.
I think it's 5.
No, red.
Oh,
Yeah,
for red?
just 100 milligrams.
They don't have them they're not
Yeah.
available for that.
Yeah,
They're
red.
not,
They're
they're
not,
all from
they're
red.
they're all from that.
They're
Yeah.
all for med.
Do you guys feel that 100 milligrams for rec is an arbitrary number for the package? This is, I just thought of this. This is why I just popped it up out of nowhere.
No, I think it's a good number. Because I used to be able to take like 600 milligrams
Yeah.
at one time, but now I can barely stomach like 20.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, so I think it's a great way to start. I feel like it's just a different process when you process it through your liver. You know, you ingest it goes through your liver, and it changes chemical composition from THC 9 to 11 hydroxy. So and it's 2 times as potent. I think where the 100 milligrams for edibles is perfect. I just think when it's smaller, like it's a candy. That's a little gray area for me because like I'd love to have a little candy that's 100 milligrams this small. I can just pop, I mean, not me anymore. But I can just,
A guy I know.
that want that instant relief rather than to eat 15 gummies.
There are some out
Well,
there.
I think the herbal edibles is still making the little bonbons, which were like just almost a 1 chew, and I think they were up to 100 milligrams on those.
Yeah.
25 and 50.
Yeah, we carry the 50 milligrams
Okay.
for their 1,000 milligram packages as well.
Uh-huh, yeah. I mean, I personally am, yeah, I think that's good for you.
Yeah, but I read the law before. It just says you can't sell more than 800 milligrams to some person.
Mhm.
It doesn't say. I don't know. Well, hopefully you can find it for me, but it doesn't say you have to sell it by 100 milligram denominations. Yeah, it doesn't specify anything like that in the I forget what it's called, general provisions or something. It just says 800 milligrams.
Yeah, total.
Is
Is the limit, yeah.
Is the limit, but it doesn't say by denomination.
Got it.
That they have to buy by 100 milligrams. So, I mean, that's what we hear. So we obviously any recreation that comes in 100 mg, but I can see how people can kind of use that however they like.
Yeah.
Or if you can buy a 500 and a 300 as long as it equals 800.
Yeah.
So.
Interesting.
I feel like edibles are a little bit more powerful, so I think they should be limited,
Yeah.
so people don't scare themselves or, like for a better word, overdose. You can't overdose on cannabis.
Yeah,
But you
green
can-
out.
You can
but you
get
can,
out high,
you
yeah.
can certainly throw it up and be high for 2 days.
Yeah.
So, in the edibles aspect, I think it should kind of stay where it's at. But my only problem is with the topicals.
Okay.
What are we thinking for cons, guys?
Yeah. Any cons?
No, that was a con.
Okay. That was
That was a good one.
I'm on it.
That's actually the first time we've had that one. So that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's far out. Yeah, that's a very interesting one. Just because I too know herbal edibles, so.
They're great. Great.
Yes.
Anything else? I mean, one thing that we wanted to bring up too was like the event stuff, like smoking at events or outdoor events, even that where no kids are allowed. Should it be allowed? Because I feel that's a con on its own in the industry that we don't have. We have consumption lounges. Then you have these illegal events that do it anyway. So like
unless you're cookies and then you get like a $600,000 fine.
Oh shit!
Let's do it.
I mean, it's as simple as this. You go to, they can put it into two kind of categories. You can go get a special use permit for whatever event you're gonna have. You obviously have to have it fenced properly or whatever perimeter you're gonna issue it in. Yeah, and then you go to CCD, you get a special permit from them, however months in advance that they need to process this, solves the whole thing. Obviously, if there's video or if there's damning evidence that there were minors at your event, if there were minors smoking at your event, you obviously need to be held accountable.
Yeah.
But in terms of like, if I want to get with Pina and Jeff to do a cannabis cup here in Deming, I think we should all be able to smoke. Whether we want to make it for all ages is to our discretion. But if we were to do that, it has to, no smoking. As simple as that. But if it's a 21 age and over, you're abiding by the CCD laws in terms of checking valid IDs, making sure whether you do little wristbands or a stamp. I mean, we do it all the time with alcohol events. I just don't see why we can't do it with cannabis events. But there has to be some kind of taxi service to take people to cover everybody's kind of costs in terms of insurance. So everybody has the ability to get home safe, whether or not they decide to drive while they're under the influence is kind of their problem and their kind of thing. It shouldn't kind of roll back on us. That was my whole thing with the consumption lounges. I'm like, I'm just going to get myself sued if I open a consumption lounge, right?
Yeah.
You go out there and somebody gets in a crash, boom.
And then a lot of them are forcing you to buy something before you even go into the consumption lounge, which then doesn't make your DD want to go, because why am I going to buy something if I'm not even going to consume it and I'm the DD? So then you're telling them, well, don't bring a DD. So then we're kind of doing a disservice there too. So I get that, yeah, for sure. Continue, I'm sorry.
Oh no, that's kind of all I had on it.
Keep this stuff on the down low.
I would like to point out as well, with the whole cookies topic, that we all might have to help out with the numbers. So the CCD has fined over $2 million.
Yeah, I think it's over 2 million.
Right?
Yeah.
And they
Probably
have
going
only
up.
collected 6,000 something.
Not
The
even
exact
cookies
number
this
for
big.
cookies is lost.
It's
interesting how that's been the only dispensary to have been taken accountability for. Is it because there were so many eyes on what happened?
Because there was actual videos, there was evidence.
Uh-huh.
There was
so
evidence.
how come not put the same when we have, given evidence of, like how you said, you go and send pictures and videos, nothing is sent, they're sent the fine, they will collect the fine. Why is it that only one major dispensary here in the state has had that money collected? I think it's just a good question to see, got everybody, let's get that money, let's fix the roads, or at least that now brings me to another topic, deciding what the funds that cannabis brings could go towards. So we have no say in what we would
Exactly, it
let
should
that
go back into the community.
And there was an instance where I heard somebody from Las Vegas, New Mexico, say that they hadn't seen improvement this first year of anything in the community, but that the funds were going to police and fire departments, type of conventions and things like that, and that they would give, this year they had a lot more swag to give out and more things in that nature. So I think being able to knowing where we can fix our community with our money would be good.
But it's like I was alluding to previously, is that they're not enforcing anything, so a lot of this money is unaccounted for. A lot of this money is not paid. I mean, cookies didn't even, you don't have to pay a fine that the CCD gives you. They can just give you a $3 million fine and just be like, well, this is a nice paperweight, or just go ahead and shut it.
We're going to move to the future.
Yeah.
And we're going to be enforcing this stuff, because if not, it's going to just, we're at a point right now that it's time to look and fix if we can't, before it just something blows up, because there's just a lot of these little things we've been talking about tonight that need to be looked at, need to be fixed, need to be brought back forward again and re-talked about them. Go ahead.
I think that's just like a state thing, well, in our state, because me as a cosmetologist and a salon owner, we have the same issue. We get called on, we get a board, our licenses are inspected by a board from Albuquerque. They have 2 guys for the whole state of New Mexico to go after salons, barbershops, tanning,
Tattoo.
tattoo, mortuary. 2 guys for the
Mortuaries?
whole
Oh,
state.
geez. Cosmetology.
And
Yeah.
so we get inspected maybe every 2 years. It's supposed to be every year.
Right.
And we get inspected every 2 years. This year I did not get inspected. The year before I did. So I think to you, like, it's not just this industry. It's in every industry. And I don't know what it is that the state, why not get more guys? Or, I mean, women, you know? But I don't know if they don't want to pay out. They just want to keep all this money.
Well,
Because we
it
pay
has
for our
money-
licenses. We do all the same things. I mean, we might not pay as much as a cannabis license is, plus all the other licenses you guys need or we need, but it's the same thing. So I wouldn't even know how to suggest anything because we have the same problem in the salon industry.
It's the same in construction industry. Like in Silver City, we don't have a local inspector. We have to rely on the state to come down and that. If I'm building a project and I need my permit or
Right.
an inspection, I need it now, not a month whenever they want to schedule it. So it is a.
And from what I hear from here,
I
the
mean,
ones
all
they come from
industries.
Las Cruces
Yeah.
to do the inspection. So it's literally a state issue.
Yes. Well,
It's all
Travel
industries.
time and all that stuff.
But I think what you're getting at, I think it's easy kind of fix, okay? This is how much money the CCD collected from active licenses, okay? No, I just did a spreadsheet, you know? This is how much money was taken in, this is how much money was given to the state directly, you know, so that there's accountability. Oh, yeah, we did take in $800 million, not just whatever BioTrack says, you know, this is what we actually collected. And I think that's where the CCD, I've talked to the CEO of BioTrack about it, and he's just like, I'm not touching that, bro. Like, I don't,
Yeah.
like I'm not going to go in and, you know, give my 2 cents. Like, the state can do whatever they want as long as they continue to do the tracking.
Well,
But-
and that's why these meetings are really important, because you guys are the constituents, right? And the more you speak up, the more the more they're,
Held
on the
accountable.
They're held
spotlight.
accountable.
They are held accountable. So it's up to us to, like, make the calls, make the public comments, show up like you guys are tonight, and asking these things. Because, I mean, I can't remember where I saw it, but I heard that, like some of the money was going to, like, policing. And do we really want our weed money to go to more police?
Absolutely not.
No, we want, we want the RNLD to have more inspectors. We want, construction to have, so
But
we.
who do we get with? You know, is it
No,
is
your
it
local
the state? Is
Yep,
it
your
is it
local
the Treasury's office? Like,
Lots, the chain.
yeah, that's what
all
I'm
the
saying.
way
Like, you keep digging and you keep going up, and then you get to the top and it's like, oh, nobody's doing anything, right? Like nobody's being
But when
held
you call and
accountable.
you bug them,
We all vote for them.
We have to vote.
We gotta vote.
The most important,
There's no
yeah, the
lawmakers
most
that make
important
these rules.
thing that anyone here can do is use your voice. That's why we're doing this. For those that are too shy to speak, can't do the public comment thing, that's why we have
Can't come
this.
up to Santa Fe, can't pick up your phone and speed dial and just leave a message of what you think about
Or
this
even just
bill.
emailing them, whatever we can
It's
do.
quick.
It's so easy, it's such an easy process just to leave
because the
it.
more of us that command where we want to know where our money is going, and we want to have say in where this money is going, then we'd hope that they would listen to us, right?
Yeah, and we're firm believers in closed mouths don't get fed. So that's why we're doing this. A lot of this is, again, to better our system, to pave the way.
But what you have to understand is there's a general fund, and all the money
Mhm.
goes into the general fund. and then it's up to, that's how the counties are broken down, and then it's up to their leaders, your leaders, that you vote for, to request the amount of money from the general fund for the budget you're gonna need for the next thing. And that's how each one of these are to work, so, and if you give reason to why you do that, then the city goes and requests some budget out of that. And it's just like, that's all part of it. So if we want to like make ourselves heard, we have to speak up and leave messages and call, and talk about these things, because, every bit of this is important.
Again, thank you guys, for listening to us, and, you guys are gonna be the main proprietors in terms of talking to the legislators and everything like that, but, we can leave all the messages, but you guys are doing the frontline work, so, again, really appreciate you guys.
Well, when I say leave a message, there'll be a staff member that will pick it up. And if you say, I'm calling about Senate bill number, blah, 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 and she'll take it down, and she'll ask you what the bill is about, and you can tell her why you want it, or if you don't want it. If it's one that's against us, she must record, he must, whoever is there, record every single phone call. So if a senator walks back in his office and goes, what's going on? And she has a list of 40 or 50 people that have called in on a particular bill. They've never had to leave and drive the far distances to Sanford and talk to them. So it works very well.
Great. I'm just so used to calling the Cannabis Hemp Bureau, the New Mexico Agriculture Department. I can remember four of them. Leave a message, I never get anything back. Still haven't got anything back.
Yeah.
So you can see from that, it's just a little discouraging. When you're hoping, when you're trying to call the people that are supposed to, be responsible for these things, and they don't even want to call you back.
Especially when the concern is not a bill itself, it's just been like that.
Yeah.
Would you say that's a con?
There it is. That's a good one. Those are the kind of things we're looking for.
Actually, I'm thinking that you might be the first person that we've had that said that you don't get a call back, or you actually never reach somebody, or whatever.
I've been that deaf ears so many times.
That happens a lot.
Okay, well, that has not been something that's been brought up, that another kind of housekeeping that needs to be done. Now, when I say a staff member will pick up and take your information, I'm talking about the legislature.
Yeah. No. That's I understand that.
Yeah. Okay.
So I really appreciate that, because I didn't know they had to listen to me.
Yeah, they have no choice.
Oh no, they're in
We pay them. Well, not really, but they work for us.
They work for free.
Yeah, I was like, we don't really pay them, but yeah.
We brought them in.
And you're a constituent of their county, and they want to hear what you've got to say. And if they're against it, then you know exactly what you need to be voting for the next time if you've got somebody, or if you just keep calling them on the many bills. What we have now is like maybe 50 bills that have been already under cannabis.
Really?
I don't know about pre-file, but yeah, there's.
I don't think they've been pre-filed, but
no, but there's been
lined up.
Yeah, they're pretty. There's a lot lined up already. The last legislative session, there was a lot. I think there was like 50 or 40, and that was a 30-day session. So this session, we're probably going to have a lot more. So we'll see what happens with that.
And this is one of Chad's codes, and I might fuck it up. It takes only 2 people to be considered constituents. So if you have 2 people in an opinion on something, then it goes.
And take it away, Chad.
So it only takes 2 people from constituent to become constituents.
Yeah.
And so what that means is it doesn't take as many of us to really sway a vote or an opinion for a legislator. Sometimes that's all he needs, is that more than one person thing to say. My constituents believe this, because at that point he's not lying. That is plural. He's just not telling you the exact number.
There's a lot of things you can do to make them hopefully see things your way.
Fluff it up a little.
And when you see them, talk to them.
I'm not trying to, push my own agenda. I just, like I said in the beginning when we got to the con, I just want accountability. That's all I'm asking for. I want a fair market that I can participate in as a businessman. Use ethical means to, conduct business and continue to be competitive in my business.
And you are exactly the kind of person as Jeffrey is to be speaking to them, to let them know. Go out there.
I'll show you the ropes. It's fun.
There's a giant target on my head.
No, honestly, you speak very eloquently. Yeah, and the participation is there. You can feel the passion, and people like that, like such as yourself, need to be there.
And legislators are like bowled over when you show up.
Oh, dude, when you show up, the legislators are excited. They want to hear from the cannabis industry. They say, please tell us, because they don't know cannabis like we do.
Exactly.
They're lawyers or, whatever else, but they're mostly lawyers.
What better, the people in the forefront?
Yeah. And so they want that.
Usually who they hear is all the lobbyists with the big guys with the money, They don't hear us little guys. This is how we make change for the better, for us, and not just towards their agenda.
Jeffrey will pick you up, don't worry.
I called Chad the night before. I was like, look at that morning. Hey, I'm going to pick you up at 6 p.m. We're driving to Santa Fe. We're going to stay the night. We're going to be on the floor by 8 in the morning.
And that's what we did. That's exactly what we did.
Years on the road again.
We may have played that once or twice on the road.
Feel every legislative session. You can feel like, okay, I know what I'm getting.
All right, guys, so we're approaching our 20-minute mark of the meeting, so if you guys would like to
Add more cons.
Border Patrol stop points.
Biotrack?
I think is one that's kind of on everybody's mind.
I want to argue that because if we get anything different than BioTrack is the only system that has a free version
of it.
If we go to Metric, we're going to have to pay for everything. That means all its micro business are going to have to start paying for it, and we're going to have to use all their equipment for that. We're going to have to do a whole change out. The freaking,
can you imagine a change out?
it has to, the transition would be inventory loss, you know what I mean? So we have to keep BioTrack. I'm going to preach that over and over, no matter how people hate the inconvenience of it. They hate the inconvenience of it, but right now we have a free version.
So, how would it be transferred over from program to program?
It's a data. It's a mess.
I have to just download my entire complex sales report from the day I opened to now.
It's saved on the cloud.
Okay.
It's on a server somewhere, so they would have to do a data migration. Is essentially what they'd have to do, and that's a big pain in the ass because sometimes the data that you're trying to pull isn't the same format as the data you're sending it to. So then you have to either convert it or manually change the data to go over to the other side. So then it becomes a big mess. Now here's my thing.
You're going to have some
loss. We have opposites using
loss.
it.
Right.
You're going to have some loss
Yeah.
no matter what because something is not going to transfer.
Exactly.
So you're going to lose some of that data. No matter what.
Or you're going to have the data on an old data set on the server that's going to be of that format that you can recall, but you can't use. You can just view. So you'll be stuck with that. My thing is, if we do change it, we'll have to have a period of transition. But my thing is, what if New Mexico created one? I mean, we're known for creating things, and then it gives us time to test, et cetera, and then when it's ready.
What I've heard that other states that have tried to create their own, it ended up being a mess anyways. So using with the tools that we got now, I think is the best thing. I know Metric is pushing really, really hard. I've heard CCD talking about. Yeah, no, the contract has been up for 2 years already.
Yeah.
So they're trying to get their foot in the door. I'm a big advocate of keeping BioTrack because we don't want to see these shift changes and losses and stuff like that. I have heard that the CCD and the state is working on their own, but I just don't have much hope. Let's just use the tools we got. I know people say that there's some backdoor stuff that could be done, but it's going to happen in any other program.
I think the only way we would have to do it is the old UK with the Apple iPhone charger trick is essentially force them, the company, not, but by law, the company has to follow that law. So this backdoor thing can't happen anymore. So they specifically have to say, if a company does this and this and this and this, that will avoid this contract, etc. So they have no choice but to
licensure.
yeah. You lose this contract, and so they have to go in and physically fix that, because a lot of the stuff that's wrong with BioTrack is wrong on purpose, and it's fucked up on purpose. Like if you pay for the pro version, it's a lot better, and that's done by purpose, and it's done, by design.
Right.
So if they go in legislature and say, okay, you need to stop that, you need to do this and this and this, or your contract's done, they don't want to lose the metric. They already know that this is a competition, so they're going to change it. Just like Apple changed all of their chargers from the Thunderbolt to USB-C because in the UK they lost that lawsuit, and now they change it globally.
Right.
So that could spark something to change nationally too, is what I'm saying as well. So there's that avenue too that we could use, is the power of the legislature. I think there's one thing that we forget in the state is we have that power over companies. Sometimes and
Over
sometimes
divisions.
yeah, exactly.
Over divisions. When the law changes, the division has to change.
Exactly. And so I think that's where we can keep them a little bit more accountable for on the BioTrack side. And I think that's somewhere we've lacked, is we haven't tried to force them to be more friendly to us. We've allowed them just like, we're just going to roll over because capitalism, but we forget we can create certain laws to kind of help us out a little better. How do you guys, I don't know, what do you think about that?
I've talked to John Jacobs before, the CEO of BioTrack, and we always have really good conversations. Like Jeff's saying, there's a free version, and that benefits a lot of micro businesses, just a lot of people in general. So if we were to move over, we're already 2 years into this thing already. I think BioTrack works. I think if the state and BioTrack work together, they could figure it out.
Yeah.
They could make something where people could be held accountable, but at the same time keep the software safe, but at the same time keep the traceability going.
Yeah. Because it needs an update. I'm an IT guy by trade. So looking at that, I'm like, this is trash. My 5-year-old cousin can do better than this.
I'll say this: we've tried different systems, and all these different systems have all their different problems.
Yeah, of course.
We still use BioTrack. It's easy for us to navigate. It being looking like an old 2001 program, it helps a lot of people because it's just super easy to kind of integrate yourself with, whether it be our employees or anybody else. I've had no problem with it in terms of it losing anything, or we do pay for the pro version though, but I just don't see, unless they give it a time and they have a proper plan, I would be down, but it has to be organized. They can't just.
And that's what I mean.
Well, we just
I would mean it would go and it would take years. It would be a study process. Then there would be a bidding process, and then there would be the design process, and of course the test process. And this would take probably 5 years, total for this whole process. So that way we can ensure that we have a really good tracking system, because a lot of these tracking systems weren't designed for any of the future stuff. It's kind of like the then and now, and then I think that's why they got so fucked up, is the things that had to get changed, just throw it in there, because even Windows itself, and it doesn't really abide by this, you're supposed to get to anywhere on Windows within 4 clicks, and we all know that's bullshit. And I kind of feel that's the same thing with BioTrack, is their intention is to give you the less clicks, but you end up doing more clicks. And so that's because they try to simplify it too much, and then there's changes that get thrown into there. We can go on for days with that. I don't want to take up more time because we're getting close. I'm looking at the time here.
Just like to say,
The nerds are talking.
Yeah.
What Tracy brought to my attention is that, and I feel this and have felt it a long time because I've been dealing with BioTrack since 2008, is that better training would be important. BioTrack
So I'm going to
should
add
take
that.
on that
Yeah.
responsibility, I think.
I think
or
so.
the head of the corporation, and it's not just the front end folks that need better training on bio. It's the whole
CCD.
Everything.
It's
everything.
Yeah, it's
There
like
was
the
half of the manual
COs, the
missing
yeah.
completely.
And that goes back to my argument, is where we can hold them accountable legislatively for these certain things. Like, look, dude, you need a manual. You need to train us.
Right.
This and this and this. Whatever. Maybe you have to give them funding. Whatever. I don't know, or it goes off of a fee. I don't know. But I think legislatively we can kind of maybe get that done somehow, by forcing their hand on certain things.
Especially if we want to stick to it, right?
Yeah.
If we're going to
if you're
those
really
changes,
thinking of that.
refine it.
Yeah.
Refine it and have
free.
somebody, either that or at least have someone to train it.
Right.
And BioTrack does change every time there's a new law or a new rule more than anything, because before, in the medical days, there was never end product testing. So when you did that conversion, like say an infused pre-roll, you take your concentrate and the flour, they would go with the highest percentage, and that infused pre-roll would say 70% because the concentrate 70%, 70%. So it does change in there where you can't do that conversion and make it say that. It's not even going to let you sell it because you have to do another QA, quality assurance testing, before it could be sold. So it does change, and there is room to make it change, and we just gotta let them know what
Yeah.
works and needs
Yeah.
to be changed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And training from the top down, everybody needs more training on BioTrack. And BioTrack, I think, needs to be more consumer friendly. I've known people that have called up when something would be stuck on BioTrack, and they would tell me the best experience they ever had. This guy just worked them through it, got them back online, and they're big guys in Albuquerque. And she was telling me and I thought, wow, that's music to my ears because I never hear anything but BioTrack. She just sucks,
No, that's
But
doable.
as so now she has that person's name, and she feels that she feels a little more strength in her conviction that she could actually call him up. And I think that was something that came to me last time, is that everybody should have their BioTrack person. Everybody should build also relationship with BioTrack so that you each have your own BioTrack person, and we'll do what we can to do here if you don't want to switch over. Because are they already switching as far
I
as
think it's up for, it's been up for bid for
What-
2 years.
yeah.
And every year there's a bill. Suzanne Thompson, the first director for TCD in the very beginning.
Right.
She's lobbying for metric right now. Every session, she's in there lobbying for metric.
I somebody that we all know really well, I don't want to say out loud, is the one who brought BioTrack into it. At that time, he was a state employee.
I'm gonna add one more thing to cons before
Yes.
we run out of time.
Yes.
I'd like to see if any grow is found knowingly spraying pesticides or harmful pesticides onto plants. I think they should just straight up lose their license and they can't come back. Like, if you're knowingly doing it and you're knowingly putting consumers in danger. Luckily, we haven't had any recalls or anything in our front. But I know a lot of people are. I know, our friends at Herbal Edibles, they were getting flour that was tested in the lab, but when they did third-party testing, pesticides all over it.
Yeah.
So if you're knowingly knowingly spraying and knowingly selling pesticide weed, you're not responsible enough to be in this market.
I totally agree.
The negligence, it's the same thing that happened in California, to my friend's point. Nobody trusts the vape market anymore because they found all these laboratories were knowingly passing these
all of that.
all these batches.
All the things.
Just because
happening here.
they'll pass anything they want just because if they lose that customer, like, well, hey man, your stuff came back blasted for pesticides, they're not going to use that same testing laboratory,
Yeah, so standardized testing for
Standardized
one.
testing.
Yeah,
But I
Yes.
want to go to you with that on that because I know in Las Cruces and other counties, they're using some kind of a spray in the counties to control mosquitoes. So these outdoor grows are not willingly putting that on their plants, but it's happening. You know
Oh
what I
yeah.
mean?
It's that
But
pesticide.
like,
that-
So then
saying-
that goes into a conversation of, there's places in California that are like no spray zones. Like,
Yeah.
do you want to do you want to really
Make
be that
New Mexico a
mindful?
no spray
You
zone.
Or
wanna
just
allow
neighborhoods,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
neighborhoods,
Mhm.
or be a farming places. Like, one of the biggest things that I'm concerned with is air quality sometimes in Las Cruces. And so when you start talking about pesticides in just your weed, like, why don't you talk about pesticides in the food, in the air
I mean,
that you're
it
breathing?
could be
Or
down
the
the windows,
breathing,
you know what I mean?
I'll say this, like I said with the before, there has to be some kind of board, and it has to be reviewed. It's not like you chop the block. It has to be discussed. Oh, well, this is how you knowingly, and this is how you did it with malicious intent, rather than, well, you know, like you were saying, Jeff, with the mosquitoes. Well, this is what we're required to do. I couldn't do anything else about it. You know, that shows that you're not trying to do it out of malicious intent. I'm kind of going at
But
it
still,
more
you
as
don't
like
want
that.
to sell that weed. Our
Exactly.
friends that it happened to, like, it was a bad situation. They lost their whole crop because they had got off-gassed by some
And
people
it that comes were up in the
spraying.
test.
Crop drift,
You know,
yeah.
if you have a
Crop
COA
drift's a real
that says
thing.
it passed, you know, and you're a, you know, honest producer that does honest testing, you know, because that's the thing too, you know, sending in something that it's not or whatever. So that was another good one you bring up too the other day about having the testing more standardized, like with what we did with the Department of Agriculture, where the inspectors came down and pulled the samples. You know, you homogenized 50 pounds on a table or 15 pounds on a table, and they picked that up. You know what I mean? And then we know, I mean, it's going to be hurtful for some of the people that are producing, but I mean, I went through that in hemp. That was the standardization. That's how I got my COA. So something
And you
like
keep the
that.
customers safe at the end of the day.
Right.
You're keeping the
Keep
public
safe.
safe.
Exactly.
Especially when this is their medicine.
The air you breathe, your health, like.
But you're right. It comes into a deeper thing. Like, we're doing all this shit. You know, weed gets tested better than food. I mean, we're still eating that shit, right?
Yeah.
You're still eating Skittles.
So we're gonna try to wrap things up because it looks like we're at the 3-minute mark. But I want to just kind of like touch base to see if we've missed anything or if you guys want to add anything else. And at this point, we're at the point in our gathering here where it doesn't even have to be a pro or con. If you have like a testimony you kind of want to throw out there, you guys have that, or a little public comment moment down here.
Get your gorditas.
Go ahead.
I'm just super grateful for everything that you guys are doing. Like I said, I'm fairly new to everything. I'm just trying to keep up. So kind of just, I've been following the majority of you on Instagram, where it's kind of where I get all my information. But I think more than anything, personally, as a user myself, because I do help my brother and my dad, but as a user myself, it helps me with my anxiety, with my own like pain and stuff. But it's allowed me to kind of like expand a little bit more. I go out and I go and see Tracy, and I talk to everybody in there, and I feel great going out there and talking to people, and you know, they're like, hey, how are you? Did it work for you? Whatever I put you on, how's that going? And so I just feel like I have an opportunity to be myself, something that I didn't before. Right? Yeah, it's just it's a different level of confidence. I mean, I'm not there yet, but it's just, I want to thank all of you guys for all that you do. Truly and honestly, it's helped out my family. I know for myself, I was the marijuana, which is terrible because I'm, you know, the youngest and, you know, the female and the stigma and all of it. But little by little, I kind of was ostracized and I was left alone, and I kind of made that my whole personality, where I was just the black sheep of the family. Well, unfortunately, my family got sick, and then they came to me, hey, dame de lo que tienes, hey, can I have some, or I have a headache, what can I put? And so I kind of started helping them, and now it kind of turned in my family. So now they'll knock on my door and they'll be like, hey, do you have any gummies that we can have? You know, whereas before I hid in alcohol. And so I was kind of very left out in everything. And so now I feel like THC pushed me out, and then I ran over and I had a glorious love affair with alcohol, but it wasn't the best thing for me. And so like THC just brought me all the way back. Cannabis brought me back. And then Tracy here just brought me to you guys. So I'm very grateful for all that you guys do. If there's anything that I can do to help you, please don't hesitate to ask. I mean, we'll try my best.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for sharing.
So you realize we're here to recruit you all as advocates.
I learned that the harsh way, yes. Once I have become a constant consumer patient, it is my responsibility to become an advocate for it.
Yeah.
And I have, with my family, as you can see. But now that I feel you guys and how welcome you are, I feel like more confident to also go out there and be like, yeah, you know, I'm a mom. I'm a smoke, or at work I smoke, I do whatever I smoke. You know, it's just less stigma.
That's
Well, and that started with you, so you should pat yourself on the back.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for making the time to come out and inform yourself. I can't say we get that many consumers that just come in and want to hear out what's going on in the industry truly. A lot of the times, you know, they see a $20 cart and they're like,
$5
All day.
they're like, Grandma, try this, and you're like, out of all the products. And so, I don't know where I was going with that one. But yeah, thank you for informing yourself and making sure that you can give them quality for their illnesses rather than any product.
right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yes. Thank you.
Awesome.
Anyone else like to share?
So everybody's in favor of standardized stuff. Want to make sure we got that done.
Yeah. Get that on audio and camera.
Well, guys, this is gonna conclude our meeting. Thank you so much for coming out and supporting us. It means a lot to us. You know, it's greater in numbers, right? And this right here, it may seem small, but to us, this is very big. So we really appreciate you guys taking the time. Like I said before, it starts with us to make a better industry, and you guys are already taking the steps to do that. So we're very appreciative of all that support. Thank you so much, and round of applause for everybody. Yay!
We will be at Sunland Park next Friday at the same time at 6 p.m. if you guys would like to come down and listen to what's going to go on in that one.
Yeah, place to be determined. We're still waiting on that. We'll keep
That's
that.
the Walla Walla West right there. That's some location.
Oh, we pop it over there.
Little Dubai.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I went to Cookies the other day with 10 dispensaries in one location.
That area alone has 37.
Yep. I was just there expecting some